On this edition of Early Look, I'm going to be previewing the UFC 329 co-main event, which puts Benoit Saint-Denis against Paddy Pimblett, July 11th, UFC 329, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. My name is James Lynch. If you've never watched the show before, I'm going to go through a bunch of different stats and intangibles. Then I'm going to give you my prediction for this fight at the end. Let me know in the comments which way you're leaning, what your prediction is. Would love to talk about this fight with you after you're done watching today's video. And like I usually do on this show, let's do a quick tale of the tape between these two. The God of War, Benoit Saint-Denis, is 17-3. Paddy Pimblett is 23-4, 30-31. So 1 year age gap there. 5'11 to 5'10, 73 apiece. So fairly even as far as like the age and physicality and all that stuff. Paddy's got a few more fights as well. We're actually going to start first with Paddy the Baddy, who fought recently for the interim title. We'll start with him first here on the breakdown. So I mentioned it there, 23-4. And by the way, this is a 3-round fight, not a 5-round fight. I think this could easily be a 5-round fight, but it's the co-main event, not the main event. Paddy's currently ranked number 6 in the lightweight division. I mentioned the 23-4 record. He's got 6 knockouts, 11 submissions, and 6 decisions. He has no advantages in this fight, whether it comes to age, height, and reach. He's got fight of the night 1 time against Justin Gaethje. He's got performance of the night 5 times. Not going to go through all those names there, but let's do it, actually. Luigi Vendramini, Rodrigo Vargas, Jordan Levitt, King Green, and Michael Chandler. Paddy did not have an amateur debut. He went straight to the pros in, actually, it looks like he did have an amateur debut way back in July of 2011, made that pro debut in October of 2012, did not make his UFC debut until September of 2021, of course, coming over from Cage Warriors. There was a lot of hype about him coming over at the time. He's got a 7-1 UFC record, including 5 stoppage victories. Some notable wins include Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, or King Green as they call him now, and Michael Chandler. His only loss in the UFC is against Justin Gaethje, which was in his last fight. He's had a couple layoffs in his career, most notably the one which was from Jared Gordon to Tony Ferguson. There was a 371-day layoff. Going from Ferguson to Green, there was a 224-day layoff. Going from Green to Chandler, there was a 259-day layoff. And then his last fight, going from Chandler to Gaethje, there's a 287-day layoff. So this is going to be one of the first times he's fought twice in the calendar year. Of course, he fought at the beginning of the year on that UFC 324 card, so good to see him back in action. I think it's the first time he's had back-to-back fights in the UFC since 2022, so it's been a bit here. Paddy being a little bit more active in 2026. He's had a couple close fights in his career, most notably the Jared Gordon one. If you go look on MMADecisions.com and you see the scorecards for that fight at UFC 282 back in December of 2022, 23 media members scored the fight for Jared Gordon. Just 1 scored it for Pimblett. And if you don't believe me here, we'll go bring up MMA Decisions and I'll show you right here. You will see that Paddy Pimblett, where are we here? Yeah, no one really thought he won that fight, but he's gotten better since that fight. So Dan Urban was the only one who scored it for Pimblett. Everyone else scored it for Jared Gordon. Just wanted to point that out. And a lot of 30-27s too, which is kind of crazy. Let's go to Paddy's stats here. Significant strikes landed per minute is 5.49. His striking accuracy is at 52%. Here's a key one, though. Striking defense is at 42%. That is very low. He does get hit a lot. Takedown average is 0.69. Takedown accuracy is at 21%. His takedown defense is at 44%. We'll see if BSD shoots for some takedowns. His sub-average is 1.2. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Let's move along to his opponent here, Benoit Saint-Denis, the God of War. 17-3 record. He's got 6 knockouts, 11 submissions, and he's never gone the distance in a win. He's currently ranked number 5 in the lightweight division, so a little bit ahead of Pimblett. He is 30 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, so he's 1 year younger and 1 inch taller than Paddy Pimblett. It's kind of weird to think. I always think of Pimblett being younger. Maybe it's because of the haircut. He's got performance of the night 4 times against Gabriel Miranda, Matt Frivola, Mauricio Ruffi, and Beneil Dariush. He's got fight of the night 2 times against Thiago Moises and Dustin Poirier. Did not have an amateur debut, went straight to the pros back in February of 19, which is pretty crazy to think about. That wasn't that long ago that he made his pro debut. Made that UFC debut way back at UFC 267 in October of 2021, and in a fight where he fought at welterweight and got the break speed off him. I mean, that was a pretty dominant one-sided fight there. Some notable wins for Benoit Saint-Denis include Thiago Moises, who was previously ranked, Mauricio Ruffi, Beneil Dariush, and most recently Dan Hooker. His notable losses include Dustin Poirier and Renato Moicano. He's had a couple layoffs, the Zaleski fight in particular, going from Zaleski to Stoltz. There was a 216-day layoff, and then going from Miranda to Bonfim, there was a 271-day layoff. Since then, though, pretty active. 2 fights in 2023. He's got 2 in 2024, and he had 3 in 2025, and this will be his second fight this year. So a little bit more active than Paddy if you look at the overall scale there. He's never had a close fight in his UFC career because all of his fights, other than the Zaleski one, I think have gone the distance, or haven't gone the distance, I should say. Let's look at his stats. A little bit different than Paddy. So we see Paddy at 5.49, Saint-Denis more than that, 5.62, striking accuracy is at 58%. His striking defense is also at 42%. So two guys that don't exactly have the best defense. Takedown average is 4.19. His takedown accuracy is at 35%. And his takedown defense is 72%, which is a key stat here. I'll mention that in a second. His sub average is 1.8. Let's go look at the odds. The odds do right now favor Benoit Saint-Denis. It's almost a 2-1 favorite. He's about minus 180 on most of these books here. Betway having him at minus 163. And the comeback on Paddy Pimblett is plus 150, plus 143 around there. Let's go look at the Tapology voting, where people are going on this one. And again, you don't have to bet anything to take part in this. You can just do your pick. You can see 71%. I mean, this is much wider than the odds look. 71% here for BSD, 29% for Paddy. Most of them feeling like he will do it by decision. The majority 41.8% by KO TKO, and you've just got 8.3% thinking he'll win by submission. And with Paddy, it's all over the place. Most picking him by decision at 45.8%, 32.1% by submission, and 22% by knockout, which is interesting. Let's go look at our AI predicts section using Fight Signal. They actually favor Paddy in the fight here, 52.89% compared to 47.11%. I will have an in-depth AI video probably during fight week when this comes up. Again, this is early look, so just, we'll, for now, just showing you the result here. They do favor Paddy. All right, let's get to my pick on this fight. It's an interesting one because there's a lot of questions, I think. But I think based off everything we have here, I'm going to go Benoit Saint-Denis, and I'm going to take him by decision. And here's why. A couple reasons. First off, Paddy Pimblett has never been finished in the UFC. He did not have a great performance against Justin Gaethje in his last fight, but Gaethje wasn't able to finish him, and that was a 5-round fight, and Gaethje's got knockout power, wasn't able to do it, and you can see here, Gaethje did end up, actually, it looks like Paddy did outstrike him in that fight, but I thought Gaethje, looked much better in the fight overall. He ends up getting the decision there. So yeah, Gaethje was not able to finish Pimblett. I don't see any reason why Benoit Saint-Denis will be the one to do that. Maybe he could. Keep in mind, this is a 3-round fight, so less of an opportunity for a finish in this fight. So that's another reason why I think the fight goes the distance. 85% of Benoit Saint-Denis' wins are by submission, and he's fighting a guy in Paddy Pimblett who's been submitted just one time, and I want to say it was a long time ago, too. When was his last submission loss? It was back in 2013, so more than a decade ago he was submitted. I think Paddy's shown that he's got pretty good submission defense for the most part. So I don't see BSD winning that way. And like I mentioned there, majority of his wins actually come by submission. He's only got 6 knockouts, so that could happen. 48% of Pimblett's wins are by decision. So again, if you're thinking path to victory here for Paddy, you would probably lean submission, but he's fighting a guy in Benoit Saint-Denis who's never been submitted in his career. He's been knocked out twice. We'll talk about those in a sec, but that's something to keep in mind in 21 career fights that Benoit Saint-Denis has never been submitted. Now, I mentioned the 2 knockout losses. One of those was Poirier, and listen, Poirier, he's going to go down as one of the best lightweights, as far as his career. Obviously retired, but he caught him, and a little bit of context there. We saw Benoit Saint-Denis gas out in that second round. Poirier was able to take advantage and finish him. So again, and was that the staph infection? I mean, there's a lot of questions about how that fight played out. And keep in mind, Benoit Saint-Denis actually won that first round against Poirier. And if you look at the stats, it sort of backs it up a little bit here. Where are we? If we look at Benoit Saint-Denis against Dustin Poirier, he actually outlanded Poirier in the entire fight. And look at that first round. This is blue. Benoit Saint-Denis, 38 of 49 strikes, just 12 for Poirier. So again, I bring that up because that's a very good opponent that he fought there in Dustin Poirier. So that's something to keep in mind. So he did get finished in that fight. And then he got finished by Renato Moicano, but it was a doctor stoppage due to an eye injury. Would Moicano have probably finished him at some point later? Yes. But again, it is important to note that it's not like he was knocked out or has a bad chin or anything. He just got finished via doctor stoppage with the eye injury. So a little bit different than a typical TKO victory. Just wanted to point that out a little bit. And then the other thing you got to point out here, Benoit Saint-Denis, a little bit younger, a little bit more active. And I would argue he's beat better guys overall if you look at this here. I know Dariush is, prone to getting finished in the first round a lot in his career, 16 seconds. Okay, I'll give you that. But I still think Dariush is better than a lot of guys that Paddy Pimblett's fought. I think Rufy is better than a lot of guys that Paddy Pimblett's fought. Look at Rufy's fight after this. He ends up going out there and getting a very good win over Fiziev. So I think we know that's a very, a win that has aged well here as well. We can fret about Kyle Preplik. That was short notice. And then he beat Dan Hooker, who again is a guy that's been ranked for a while here. So you got a couple ranked wins here, Rufi, Dariush, Hooker, and that's not even counting Thiago Moises a couple fights back, where again at one point Moises was ranked. We look at Pimblett here. His only real good win here, I guess you could give him Kingree as well. Ferguson was on the tail end of his career at that point when he fought him. I wouldn't really, that's not the old Tony Ferguson he beat. And then I'll give him Michael Chandler. That was a very one-sided, very good performance here. But again, older fighter. So, the wins that Pimblett has are against two guys that are much older. He's now fighting a guy who's actually younger than him. So, yeah, I think Saint-Denis decision is a fairly reasonable take here. There's a possibility of a knockout. I do think at some point Pimblett is going to get knocked out, but I don't think this is going to be the fight. Even though, Saint-Denis does have some power, he's more of a TKO volume guy, I would say, as far as some of his knockout wins here. So, kind of don't think that will happen, especially over 3 rounds. I think decision's the way to go. I think Saint-Denis keeps us on the feet. Maybe he gets a couple takedowns, lands some bombs, but I think overall Saint-Denis is the better striker, and I think he ends up getting the decision here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, which way you're leaning on this one. Are you going Pimblett? Are you going Benoit Saint-Denis? It's going to be a fun fight. I'm actually going to be there in person to catch this one live, so I'm really excited for this one. But yeah, I think BSD's got his number here. We'll see what happens. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. This is Early Look. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.